But I was doing reasonably well in school now. My initial concerns about passing the first year had proven to be not problematic. I passed. I actually learned after that first year from the woman in the admissions office that my father had called her and communicated with her and said he wanted her to be sure that he got sent copies of my grades because he was paying the bills. He was paying my tuition. She told me that she had gotten that call much later, of course, and just said, I just reminded him that you are an adult, and I'm sure that if he was interested in your grades, that you would share them with him. But I said, we respect your privacy. We are not going to share grades with anyone. Of course, one of the reasons I'd chosen reserve is they had a grading system that really was pass-fail. So the cutthroat medical school competition that was so prevalent in other schools was less prevalent here. We weren't comparing points of a grade. We'd either done very well, we'd passed, or we'd not done well. The school kept a roster, a sort of a level of grade, because that was important when applying for residency positions, so that they could give a class ranking, but we weren't ever given number grades. So then, between the third and fourth year was when we were beginning to think about postgraduate training. And I decided that my field was going to be internal medicine, probably academic internal medicine. I was, I think, trying to emulate some of my professors whom I admired a great deal. And so the question is, where would you go for an internal medicine residency? So I spent some time trying to determine where some decent residency programs were around the country. And our second cross-country camping trip was much faster. It was a little over 3 weeks, I think. So instead of stopping in national parks along the way, we just drove across country, stopping in Denver and San Francisco and LA and someplace else.
Yeah,
I don't remember all of them. Looking at residencies over 3 weeks. But it was on that trip that Ardith lost her engagement ring. Now, I had sold my model trains when I was in college at great personal pain to be able to afford an engagement ring, which was, all I could afford was a ring that had a pearl in the center and 2 diamond chips, right? And then, of course, there was a wedding ring later. But since we were interviewing for internship positions, really, I call them residency now, but first postgraduate year positions, internships, meant that we'd to dress in business clothes during the day when that interview was going on, but we were still camping, so that we would then stop sometimes at a gas station restroom, gas up and go in the restroom and quickly change clothes so that we could go pitch a tent later, right? Ardith did that, and we drove away, and when was it, hours later? Did you
Not
realize?
that long.
Anyway, we were on our way, probably 100 miles away from this place or more, had to be in another place soon, couldn't stop and go back. She realized she'd left all her jewelry on the sink in the bathroom of this gas station. So we just wrote it off for the time being.
Well, we called them.
Mm-hmm.
We called them immediately and
Well, when we
Told
found the
them.
phone, no
told
cell
them
phones.
that the ring was the most important because it was my engagement. And that was probably a mistake because I did get some jewelry back, but not the ring.
Mm-hmm. So my great sacrifice ended up in the in the restroom of a gas station out in the middle of nowhere.
That
How
hurt. That hurt.
Yeah, it hurt. Yeah. But it turns out I was offered a spot as an internal medicine intern at Case Western Reserve, which was nice because they would offer it to their better students. So that was a signal that I was doing reasonably well at that point. So that made me feel good, and we had every reason to stay in Cleveland. We had no reason to strike out elsewhere. So once that was clear, then I turned down all the other possibilities and elected to do my postgraduate year at University Hospitals in Cleveland. Now, it was during that year, the first rotation was woman's wing, the hospital. The hospital really is about 7 stories, and on the 4th floor were the, what would we call them, sort of the clinic wards. Anyway, there was men's ward on one side, women's ward on the other, and internal medicine on the 4th floor. Other floors had different services, surgery, orthopedics, etc. So these were the patients that were admitted to the public service. Generally, people who are uninsured. Many of them, not all, but many of them African American, of course, in the day. And they became the patients of the house staff. So there were something like 24 beds, several private rooms for isolation, 1 4-bed ward, and then a multi-bed ward, probably 12 beds in a large setting with privacy screens that could be pulled. So there were 2 interns and 1 resident. The resident was a second-year postgraduate, another 1 year beyond the residency. And the idea was that each intern would have 36 hours on, 12 hours off.